Firstly, I'd like to really thank the organisers for the opportunity to talk about two things in the next session. The first part of my presentation is going to be about an association called PARIMA. And many of you may have heard of PARIMA already, many of you may not have, and I'd like to just sort of explain a little bit about what we do and why we do it. Essentially, the Pan-Asian Risk and Insurance Management Association, which I shall move on to, was set up 4 years ago now, and we have grown like crazy right across Asia. It's been a great journey. Essentially, the objectives of the association was to set up a place where the risk management community, i.e. the buyers of insurance and the owners of captives, and others in the risk management community can get together, share with each other, learn from each other, and really have a place that they could call a home of their own. Because I don't think, I know nothing like that had existed before. It was formed by risk managers for risk managers, and it's a not-for-profit association. Membership is by application for risk managers, and we have many, many Malaysian companies where their risk managers have signed up. One thing I'd like to stress, we have a very close relationship with the existing bodies around the region. And very kindly, Dato TK Lim and Mariam allowed us to make a similar presentation at their event. And this isn't about replacing or supplanting any of the existing organizations. This is about providing an umbrella right across Asia so that risk managers can really learn from their peers. Clearly in any one country, there's only going to be one or two big incumbents leading a particular sector. So it's great to learn what those incumbents do in other parts of the region. And that's one of the things that we emphasize. Let me tell you a little bit about the journey, and I want to make it clear this is for risk managers, but my presentation this afternoon is to let you know what that risk management community is doing. And then you can go away and think about what your own companies are doing, whether you're service providers, insurers, captive managers, brokers, whatever your role is, how do you want to engage with that broader community? How can we do, we touched it so many times, and I touched on it myself this morning, about the education. How do we get the message out about what captives are? How can we see some sort of uptake or uptick in the usage of captives and those techniques? Well, it's going to be the risk managers who've got to learn about it. It's the risk managers who are going to sell the idea to their CEO or their CFO, and only at that point will there really be some traction. So I see PARIMA as a very useful vehicle for many of your companies to articulate that. So why do we think it's necessary? Well, we all know we have half the world's population here, and we probably have more than half the world's risk. Asia is a very complex place, and there's a lot of things going on. You can read this faster than I can talk, so I'm going to let you scan this. But basically, we just decided that this was the time was right to have a Pan-Asian risk management association. And that's what we've delivered. There are equivalents already in Europe and North America, and we've modeled ourselves somewhat on those, although, as I emphasize, we're very much a not-for-profit, unlike some of the others which are for-profit. We've been very clear about the objectives for PARIMA, and I think this is why it's attractive for risk managers. We want to really get that professional approach to risk management up to a high level. There's a lot of people in organizations who are managing insurance or they're managing risk, but they're not called risk managers. They might be the CFO, they might be the legal counsel, they might be in procurement, heaven forbid. But those people are really risk managers as well, and it's how do we get a common understanding of the terminology around the profession so that we can really mature it and improve it for the future. Who are the partners who've supported us? Many of these names you will know, and many of these names are here today as well. The question will be, is your company ready to join us as a partner for PARIMA and operate right across Asia? Most of the global names are here, as you can see. But we're always looking for more partners. For the members themselves, it's very important that we get the right sort of membership. So we're looking for people who are truly working as risk managers to join as the core membership. But of course, supporting organisations can come from any of the areas around their activities. But this gives you an idea of who the core membership is at PARIMA. The demand was clearly there because we've grown like crazy. It's really difficult for me to think back to 2013. There was only about 7 or 8 of us who just decided, let's try this, let's get something going. And the growth rate has been spectacular. So the demand was there. And what's driven a lot of that growth has been regional conferences. Some of you may know we had a very large and successful conference here in KL just over a year ago. We got about over 200 attending, and that gave us a huge uptick in membership. We're looking at doing more events, so any of your companies, if you'd like to become a partner of us, if you'd like to do an event in KL and you want to target those risk managers, and those are the guys who are buying your products. You want to target those guys in the corporations, then please let us know. We'd love to sign you up as partner companies too. I touched a bit on this before. Who are the people who are joining as risk managers? It's not always obvious in an insurance, in a client company, who's the actual risk manager. And around the region, we've got different people with different titles. And we're trying to capture as many of those as possible. And as you can see, we're capturing not only the insurance side, but also the enterprise risk side. What do those people want? So what do your ultimate customers want? These are the sorts of insights that we can provide our partners, and we help them really get a good sense of what are their ultimate customers looking for. The difficulty with a lot of insurance-based conferences I go to is there's a lot of insurance people talking to other insurance people, but not so many clients. And yet these days, we're going to move on to it soon, technology is moving so fast, those client demands are going to be what drive your solutions in the future. These are the sorts of things that we've done in the last few years. We've had a huge range of different events, and I'm delighted to say almost all of them that I've been involved with have been very successful. I've really enjoyed them. We've done several captive events already. I think we will continue to do many more. We have close partnerships with IBFC and others, and we've done work with Richard before in Macau. We had a great conference over there. This education process, this partnering process, all of us working together to make sure risk managers understand what captives are and how they can be utilized. Until we get over that education hurdle, we're not going to see any growth. The other thing we've introduced this year, and I was part of the founding team sitting this exam, is a certification program for risk managers. So trying to get a common standard, what is a good risk manager supposed to be able to do? Trying to make sure that they can pass a certain level of exam. That's something we've teamed up with the Australian Association, ANZIF, to try and make sure we've got a consistent approach to examination and qualification. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say about that part of it. I know most of you in the room can't join as direct members of PARIMA, But I would like you to go back to your organizations and think about, well, could our partner organizations work with PARIMA in the future? Is there a way that we could become one of the family of companies that support PARIMA? And what would our role be? And how would that help us to promote the use of captives generally and specifically so you can get a bit more business? Now, the second part of my presentation is going to be about something entirely different, about blockchain. And we've got a very exciting presentation coming up from one of my colleagues, but I'm going to pass back first to allow a couple of introductions.